A collection of fantasy short stories first published in pulp magazines back in the 1930s, these tales follow the adventures of Jirel of Joiry as she often recklessly plunges into supernatural adventure. I was initially surprised when I started reading this collection because I'd heard that Jirel of Joiry was a heroic fantasy character like Conan or John Carter of Mars. These stories by C.L. Moore, however, are of a different style, closer to the stories of Lord Dunsany or even some of Lovecraft's fantastical works like Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath. There is a strong element of surrealism and discomfort in these stories more than there is a rousing element of adventure. In Black God's Kiss, Jirel and her people are captured when Joiry falls to invaders led by the haughty warlord Guillaume. This is also where we learn Joiry is located in medieval France, apparently. Incensed, Jirel escapes below the castle's dungeons to find a rumored gateway into an otherworldly realm, where she hopes to find a suitable weapon to overthrow her captor. While traveling through an unreal landscape, she takes advice from her doppelganger and receives a cursed kiss from the titular god. Returning to Joiry, she bestows the kiss on Guillaume, causing him to die in existential torment. In that moment, though, Jirel also realizes as much as she hated Guillaume, he was also the only sort of man worthy of her affection. It's sort of a Waylon Jennings Ladies Love Outlaws thing. In a direct sequel, Black God's Shadow, Jirel returns to the nightmare land below the castle because she suffers guilt over Guillaume's death and the possible continued torture of his soul. The story reads like a combination of Dante's Inferno and the Orpheus myth, as Jirel seeks out a means of solace for the soul she cursed and her own conscience. The story Jirel Meets Magic is closer to a pulp sword and sorcery tale, as Jirel chases the wizard Gerard through a magical portal into a fey realm lorded over by a cruel shape-shifting sorceress who is looking to prevent her own prophesied death. An interesting element in all this is the chivalric quality of the story, where Jirel's main focus is on keeping her word to find and punish Gerard at all costs, because she made an oath to do so. This stubbornness of Jirel is showcased here and is one of her main character traits. The climax of this story has a touch of cosmic horror to it as well. The Dark Land shows the indirect, personal consequences of Jirel's adventures. Her travels and deeds in magical lands draws the attention of Pav, the inhuman king of an eldritch realm who claims Jirel as his bride, attracted to her savage vitality. She refuses, claiming she will either escape or kill herself before she is taken as his wife and made queen of a world she does not understand. There are many elements of the Hades and Persephone myth at play here. Finally, Hellsguard is in many ways the most conventional because it plays out like a gothic horror story. In order to free some of her men being held captive by a rival lord, Jirel agrees to enter the haunted, decrepit castle Hellsguard and find the famed treasure left there centuries ago when the castle fell. All she'll have to do is contend with the angry ghost of Hellsguard's notorious lord, but she discovers there are other people already squatting in the haunted castle with an agenda of their own. Across all the stories, while Jirel is frequently an object of desire, she is rarely described as being especially attractive in a conventional sense, aside from her red hair, depending on how you feel about that. As I related in the stories, most often she is wanted for her vitality, fierce personality, and steely determination. It should be noted that in Hellsguard, The one occasion that Jirel intentionally attempts to use her sex appeal, she fails miserably. All of these developments might have something to do with C.L. Moore being a woman, but I don't want to reduce all her character decisions to being a function of her gender. I believe first and foremost, she created a compelling protagonist for supernatural adventures that would appeal to readers of pulp magazines. Nonetheless, it is worth noting that Jirel first appears in 1934, the same year as Belit in Robert E. Howard's Conan story, Queen of the Black Coast, and years before Valeria enters the Conan canon in Red Nails. Jirel is active and engaged in the way that many sword and sorcery protagonists are, and she is similarly flawed. For my part, I found the stories enjoyable. They aren't my favorites by any means, but they are written well enough and present weird and compelling stories that kept me engaged. But what do you, the audience at home, think? Are you a fan of Jirel of Joiry? Had you previously not even heard of these stories? Should C.L. Moore have more recognition as an accomplished pulp writer and pioneer in the field? Be sure to share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoy these stories, you may also want to read some of Lord Dunsany's work, like his novel The King of Elfland's Daughter, or one of his short story collections like The Book of Wonder. He is a distinguished writer of fantasy from the early 20th century, and you can tell his style was a big influence on Moore and many other writers of fantasy and weird fiction. Next in the Box of Paperbacks project is Elmore Leonard's Western prison novel, 40 Lashes Less One. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my peculiar notions. If you appreciate this channel and want to support it, you know what to do. You can also take a moment to like, comment, share, or subscribe to another YouTube creator you enjoy, so that their videos won't disappear into the non-Euclidean hellscape beneath Joiry, where the YouTube algorithm servers are located. Until next time, read some fun pulpy stories, live, and be well.